Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. Great article here by urgentcom.com. I'll leave a link to it in the description so you guys can check it out. So, T-Mobile was part of another interview with Urgent Communication, and this time Mo Katiba, I hope I said that right, Chief Marketing Officer, was a part of this conference. And T-Mobile officially shares details about T-Priority offering a satellite-to-device progress. So it's interesting, right? This T-Priority is gonna be it's gonna be pushed, right? It's gonna be made a big deal because they're looking to bring attention to it. They're looking to sell it, of course, and they're looking to bring it to market as this new innovative technology that's never been done, right? They're in this article or during this conference, they're even discussing being able to offer a certain bit rate that or double the bit rate than the other carriers are doing, and they're able to actually guarantee that bit rate. So that's very interesting. I wouldn't do that myself, but if they must be that confident using T-Priority, then if they're that confident, then let them do it. So Mo Katiba, Chief Marketing Officer for T-Mobile for Business Unit, said that T-Priority service announced earlier this month will be launched this fall, leveraging network slicing technology enabled by the carrier's 5G standalone 5G SA core and its existing wireless priority service, base priority, and preemption. Like I said, T-Mobile's had this in the network. They have the different QCIs and they have that stuff on board. They've built the network around that since they closed the merger. We're using traditional WPS implement for the priority and preemption, Katiba said during an interview with IWCE's Urgent Communications. Once you're on the network, you've been prioritized or preempted other non-first responders traffic to get on whatever spectrum band. It's the T-Priority network slice that is allowing us to utilize effectively all of our bands to dynamically scale up and down as first responders in any given situation in real time. Require it to then manage the network traffic. He says it's a pretty extraordinary technology. And then modern first responders communications means that you need next generation 5G data networks. I mean, you don't really need it, but I guess if there is a use case that requires a lot of data, this would be the network to be on, right? The 5G side with all the spectrum, C-band, N41. Having 5G standalone core really lets us say, hey, how do we build on the promise of connecting heroes to something that gives first responders what they need right now? We believe that we're pretty uniquely positioned to be able to do that. You bring all of those things together and we realize, hey, we can utilize slicing as a way to serve those needs. So that's an interesting take, right? They're pretty much saying, hey, we have this capability. We have all this capacity. We're still under indexed in the first responder segment. Let's go ahead and offer this. So then he goes on to say something that no one else in the industry has ever declared is a minimum bit rate for first responders. What we've enabled is the ability to provide double the minimum bit rate for first responders versus what we've done historically. And by that way, we're the only one that is even willing to publicize and talk about. And we've built the network to do this, a minimum bit rate. So they're not releasing that bit rate figure at this time, but our intent is to publish that number in the future. So that's a tall task, in my opinion. So similar, T-Mobile is not yet releasing details about which city of New York agency they've signed up. New York NYPD, Fire Department. We have no clue as of this time. There probably will be another press release for that. And yeah, so the T-Priority piece, right? It's And with the SpaceX, it's still the same. We really didn't get a progress update. They're still saying they're trialing a beta later this year, so nothing new there. So yeah, T priority is very interesting. We're probably going to hear a lot about that for the rest of the year and going into 2025, because this seems to be their marketing, their go-to market, T priority to really take on this sector, right? They've been trying to with connected heroes. They've been kind of doing that here and there, but now they must feel more confident. 4 years, almost 5 years in on the merger, they must feel a lot more confident in their ability to serve the first responders. They really didn't make that they could have probably did it last year or even a year before. They've had standalone for some time now, but they probably needed to scale up the backhaul generators. They needed to work on the redundancy piece before they started to attack that segment. And they probably now know internally, okay, they're at this percentage of that hardening program. By next year, they'll be at an even higher percentage. So now I'm guessing they're starting to get the brand out there, the T priority, and, just to get this thing rolling and get it off the ground, starting with New York City, Chicago PD, and then the Los Angeles Fire Department. They announced that at that Investors Day. So this is going to be a tall task for T-Mobile, in my opinion. I think they have a few more years of investing to go before they can really, take share and make a dent in that segment. I do think along the way they will take agencies. I mean, they already have, right? They got New York City, Chicago, LA, which is the 3 biggest markets, very likely for T-Mobile in market share. So it's going to be interesting to monitor how they move forward. I think they announce this quite frequently if they do get agencies, and we will see how they grow bit by bit. I think they do it effectively. I think they do have bumps in the road, maybe some big bumps in the road, but I do think they make this happen. That team, they know how to execute, they know how to grow, so they make it happen. But on the network side, to be 1-for-1 with the competition, I think they still need a few more years to scale and grow, right? It's not just about the backup generators. Yes, that's a huge deal, especially for first responders, but we also have to look at the scale of the network. Is it large enough today, right? Is it really closing in on the competition? That's something to look at, right? Because if you're a first responder agencies, you're coming from another network. You have wireless services today, right? Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, they've used somebody else prior to switching to T-Mobile. This is not just a new thing where they're all of a sudden getting new cellular service. So they had a network prior. And that network, if it was bigger, right, it may have worked in areas that T-Mobile doesn't. It's a possibility, right? Within the city portion, unless it's like deep indoors where Verizon may have had a DAS system or AT&T may have had a DAS system and T-Mobile doesn't, that's a possibility, right? That's something that the agencies will find out along the way, as they might have an emergency somewhere indoors in the building, right? But traveling on the outer skirts, perhaps, it's possible, they might run into that issue. But T-Mobile now must feel confident enough that they have the size and the scale and the reach to make it work. And they know next year and then the year after they will even be bigger. So now I guess it's time to really attack that segment and go after first responders. So it'll be interesting to monitor this. Some good updates there with the bit rate and stuff like that. So they're going to be able to offer just that much more capacity is what that really means. Whenever they release that number, it just shows that they have a ton of capacity to offer. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe if you're new. Follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Live. See y'all in the next one. Peace.